Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This week's recipe, I'm bringing Italy to the south with a creamy garlic Tuscan pork Alfredo. So this creamy garlic Alfredo recipe has been going around social media, but I decided to do it with a little twist. I added pork to it, and I also used my very own homemade sun-dried tomatoes. So I'm super excited to share this with you all. I hope you enjoyed making it and eating it, of course, just as much as I did. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Living Like Lex, for more recipes. Alright, so for this, I used 4 pork chops, center cut pork chops. Feel free to use whatever cut of pork you like, or if you don't eat pork, feel free to substitute chicken, fish, or just go for the vegetables for a vegetarian meal. Alright, so you'll also need apple cider vinegar to clean your meat. For the Alfredo sauce, you'll need some extra virgin olive oil, milk. I use almond milk, feel free to use regular milk, butter, cream cheese. I used a light version here, shredded Parmesan, and for a cheesier, thicker sauce, I like to add some Munster as well. Next, you'll need noodles. I like to use penne, but feel free to use linguine, angel hair, whatever you'd like. Next, for seasonings, you'll need onion powder, basil, celery, thyme, rosemary, crushed red pepper, marjoram, sea salt, black peppercorns. Our good sis garlic, feel free to use as much as you'd like. You'll need an onion, as well as some baby spinach. Use whatever greens you like. Mixed greens are nice as well. Sun-dried tomatoes. Okay, so this is about a cup here. I made my own using this appliance called a dehydrator. You can also make them in the oven as well. Let me know if you guys want a recipe video for that below in the comments. And then for good measure, and because I have an adult palate, I added some mushrooms. First, you want to start off by seasoning both sides of your meat. So I use all of my herbs and all of my seasonings. If you are using fish, seafood especially, or vegetables, be sure to make sure you moderate and adjust your seasoning based on your own taste. Once you're done with that, you want to go ahead and chop up all of your vegetables, so your onions, your mushrooms, and your garlic. Make sure you wash everything. Make sure that you wash your spinach thoroughly, especially. And then once you're done with all of that, set that to the side. All right, so you want to get a large, sort of wide, deep pot, something that's going to be deep enough to hold your Alfredo sauce as well as your meat and your vegetables, your pasta, whatever else you use. You want to coat the bottom of this pot with extra virgin olive oil. I like to do it about a little less than 1/4 of an inch of oil. Make sure that you coat the bottom of the pan evenly. So you want to let that heat up to about like a medium high heat. Once that oil starts going, once you see it sort of popping, cracking, then you're ready to drop your meat in if you're using meat in this dish. So I add all of my pork chops in this medium high heat, and I let them sit and I let them cook for about 8 to 10 minutes on each side. Make sure you cook your food thoroughly. I actually like mine crispy, so I tend to cook mine for a little bit longer, but you really want to make sure, for health reasons, safety reasons, that you're cooking your meat thoroughly. Once those are cooked thoroughly on both sides, you want to go ahead and remove them from your pot of oil. Don't discard what's in the bottom of the pan. Leave that there actually, because you're gonna want to use this to fry your vegetables. So turn the heat down, get it about to a medium low heat. And then you want to I like to add just a little bit of extra olive oil just to make sure I have enough in the pan for everything. Once you get that in there, once it's going, you want to add your garlic. Brown that at the bottom of the pan for a few minutes. Toss it around. Once that gets good and brown, then you want to go ahead and add the rest of your veggies, your mushrooms, your onions, whatever else you want to add. All right, so you want to saute everything until it's all nice and caramelized. The onions are nice and translucent, everything's brown, smelling good. Oh yeah. Once that's done, remove the vegetables from the heat. Once again, keeping all that good stuff at the bottom of the pan. You want to drop in about a stick of butter. Use as little or as much as you'd like. Next, you want to add your milk. Sorry guys, I don't use measurements. I eyeball pretty much everything, but make sure you gauge it based on how many people you're cooking for, how much cream sauce you'll need, all that good stuff. Next, you want to toss in about 8 ounces of cream cheese. Another alternative to this recipe is to use heavy cream, but I didn't have heavy cream, so I just used milk and cream cheese. I personally think cream cheese makes it a little bit thicker than heavy cream, but to each his own. And then of course you want to add a little bit of your herbs, just a little, because you already seasoned your meat, but you want to add a little bit of your herbs and seasonings to this mixture. And then you want to let it simmer until everything is incorporated in. Make sure you really let it simmer good, especially with the cream cheese. Make sure you break it up, whip it up if you need to. While that's going, you want to go ahead and get a large pot of water boiling. I like to add butter, salt, and pepper to my water for my noodles, but feel free to add whatever you'd like. For this recipe, I used about half a box. You can use, like I said, gauge how many people you're cooking for, how much you're going to need, and use as much as you need to. Make sure you boil it, stir it around so it doesn't stick. I like to cook my pasta al dente. Do yours how you'd like. But once it's done boiling, you want to go ahead and strain it and rinse all that extra starch off. Once that Alfredo sauce starts to get to a good boil, everything's incorporated in. Like I said, whip it up if you need to. You want to go ahead and add your cheeses to this mixture. So like I said earlier, I added, taste test, I added Munster cheese and Parmesan to this. Provolone would be good. Any other cheese that you'd like to add. If you like more cheddar cheese or American cheese, feel free to add that. Mozzarella, of course, but I like to keep it simple. Once the cheese is melted down and everything's mixed in really well, you want to go ahead and add your veggies. So I'm adding my cup of, this is about a cup of my homemade sun-dried tomatoes. Then I'm going to mix that in, make sure they get really incorporated into the cream sauce. Let it cook, simmer for 2 to 3 minutes just to get that tomato taste really incorporated in there. Once that's simmering well, you want to go ahead and add your spinach. So I added the whole 5 ounces of spinach because, as everybody knows, spinach cooks way down. So add as much spinach as you'd like. I like vegetables. I added quite a bit. Once it's all in there, you want to let that sit and simmer for about 3 to 5 to 7 minutes, depending on how you like your spinach, but really until the spinach starts to wilt down. All right, while my Alfredo sauce is going, I went ahead and chopped up my pork chops. So of course you want to go ahead and take the bone off of everything, and then you want to slice your pork chops, chicken, whatever you're using, into bite-sized pieces. Feel free to use leave your seafood whole if you want to do seafood with this, but make sure you chop your meat up however you'd like. Once you're done with that, back to your sauce. The spinach should be good and wilted down. You want to go ahead and add your caramelized veggies, so your onions, your mushrooms, whatever else you decided to add. Then you want to stir that all in, incorporate that mixture really well with the Alfredo. And then you want to let that simmer for a few minutes. Once that's mixed in really well, you want to go ahead and add up your chopped meat. So I'm adding my pork here. Go ahead and add your chicken, whatever else you're using. At this point, all your vegetables and all your meat should be in the Alfredo sauce because the very, very last thing we want to add is our pasta. So I added a little bit of extra cream cheese in here too, just to make it a little more thick. Like I said, you can use heavy cream or whatever dairy alternative you'd like to use. All right, so last but not least, we're gonna go ahead and add our pasta. So I like to add my pasta a couple handfuls at a time, just to make sure that it's getting evenly incorporated into the sauce, that I have a good like noodles to pork to vegetable to sauce ratio. So add as much or as little pasta as you'd like. All right, so mix this in really, really well. Make sure everything's incorporated. And you're gonna let that sit and simmer for a few more minutes. You wanna let it go until your sauce starts to thicken with everything. Make sure it's on like a medium-low heat. Low and slow is the name of the game here. All right, let that sit and simmer for a few minutes. And once it's done, you can turn that heat off and go ahead and serve. Look how good that looks. Oh my goodness. All right, and so for plating, feel free to top yours off with more Parmesan cheese like I did. Feel free to use basil leaves, anything to really spice your dish up. And that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoy this as much as I did. Let me know how it goes in the comments. And as always, subscribe to my channel, Live and Like Lex, for more recipes. Thanks.